Okay, so we have completed our parallax. We have our foreground, our mountains, and our sky, and they all move slightly different speeds, 0.5, 0.7, and 1. And now what we want to do is we want to look at, well, first of all, I constrain the tank so that I can't move off camera view. So I put the tank, at the moment its position is -7 on X, -7.2, and relative plus 7.2. So let's do that. So we can open the player script and go for -7.2 and go plus 7.2, and again we have it set up as an integer and not as a float. So we need to change that. So we need to set these up as floats. Okay, so let's set these to floats, and we'll do it the lazy way by just putting in 0, and we might as well, while we're here, put in the value, although it doesn't really matter right here at all, because it will be overwritten by what is in the inspector. So -7.2. What happened there? Semicolon at the end, player movement. Oh. Yep, that's definitely not right. Let me save that. That's it. -7.2. -7.2 and 7.2. Okay. Now, that should stop us from going on and off the. So let's take this evil tank here and turn it off. And we'll play our game. So if I go left, I cannot go any further than that. If I go right before the game ends, I cannot go off the screen. So I am bound by the x-axis at the end of my level. Okay, so let's turn our evil tank back on and have a look at that. So this is quite complicated here, this non-player character script, and it is actually quite complicated. So let's get stuck in and have a look at it. So it's already open and running development, and basically I have it made already. So let's have a look at what the variables are at the start. A lot of them are just copied from the player movement script. Keep in mind that this sprite here is basically, it's got a polygon collider, rigid body 2D, an animator, and this has got an animator, polygon collider, rigid body. So the only real difference between the two of these is this script. Even to the point where the evil tank has the same sort of animation as the tank. In class we added in an idle cycle, which I haven't added in here. This is the pre-idle cycle version of it. So there should be a fourth one here, which was we made us out of a single frame, which would make it a superior game. But let's just get it functioning first, and we can fix little things like that. So what do we want the tank to do? We want the tank to stay on screen. We want it to understand the distance between us and it. We want, when the distance is a certain amount, so let's say it's 10 units between the two tanks now, we want it to be at say 5 units to start firing and to come towards us. So that's quite a lot that we want it to do. So we need to detect the distance between two objects, and then we need to set a distance at which we respond. And then we need all of the mechanisms that are on this as well, so it can fire. We also need a rate of fire, so how frequently it will fire. And because obviously the firing on this is a user input, it's a spacebar. On this one we have to automate it. So quite a lot to do on this. So let's have a look at the script. So we have an animator, that's to play the animations. So load in, make a connection between the script and the mechanism system. This is our rate of fire. Okay, I'll have a look at rate of fire straight away. Rate of fire is quite simple. Rate of fire is next fire, the next time we fire, is time plus rate of fire. So let's say time, let's say 30 seconds has elapsed in the game, and we set our rate of fire to be 1. Okay, up here it's set actually to be 1, I think. 1. So 30 seconds has elapsed in the game, and our rate of fire is 1. So this side of the equals 31. So we're saying 31 equals 31, because this is whatever's on this side, this will equal it. So we're saying the next fire is our time in the game, real time, plus the fire rate. And this is always changing, but when we run this function, it just captures it at one moment. So if this number was 10, if this was 30, it would be 30 plus 10, so this next fire will be 40. And when we say when time, the time is continually ticking on, 31, 32, 33, if time is bigger than next fire, then we perform this function here. So by changing this rate here, fire rate, we get to determine the rate of fire. Now this variable here we don't want to change. This should be a private variable. So Russell did that. So this should be a private variable here, the next fire, because this is set internally in the script. We don't want to start changing that in Unity. Okay, so what happens when our fire, the time has passed our rate of fire? So then we fire. So we fire a bullet, and that's an enemy bullet prefab. So up here, one of our variables is enemy bullet. Where's the bullet fired from? Well, as before, it's fired from muzzle point, which is a transform. We're going to add in an empty for that. And the bullet has a bullet speed. I'm giving this a velocity of 10 at the moment. Okay, so these are things we've done before. So there's the muzzle point position, muzzle point rotation, and the bullet speed. So, and then these are the animations in the mechanism. So we're telling it that the fire animation is true, so it should be playing. So that's firing. So that's an automated rate of fire. It's quite cool. Now, we have this already in the script. We put this in. This was if it collides with a bullet, then play the death animation. Oh, got idle in there. I'm just getting ahead of myself. I might need to delete that, because I'll leave it for now. I'll get an error. Anyway, so this plays the death animation and then destroys the game object. Now, this is the heart of what we're doing here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find where the tank is, and we need to find, like the player tank, and we need to know where the enemy tank is. We need to know those two positions to figure out the distance between them. And how we do that is we set them both as variables. So my transform, keep in mind this is the non-player character. My transform is the evil tank, for lack of a better description. This is where the evil tank is. And this is where the target is, and the target is the player. So these are the two variables that we need to know, the two positions, hence their transforms. And we say distance is a vector 2. Ooh, I'm running out of space. Distance is a vector 2, and it's my transition, or my transform, and the target's transform. That's how you, the distance between this point in space and this point in space. And then we say if the distance between them is smaller than range, fire, and also move. And up here we have a range. At the moment it's at the 10. So let's just see it working before I run in hard drive space. So the game's going to play. The two tanks stay the same distance apart. I move forward within range, and the tank comes towards me and fires at me. Okay, now the reason the tank disappeared is because the bullet I'm using is the bullet I want to fire to kill the tank, so when it hit its own bullet, it died. So I really need to make a second bullet that's an evil bullet. It's also facing the wrong direction, the bullet. But that's it working. So play it again. So we've got a distance that isn't breached. If we look at the evil tank, the distance here is set to 7. If I extend this range, it'll come towards me, and then I can make it smaller. It comes towards me, make it smaller. Okay. And that's it.